Hello, everyone. We are here at another podcast of Sustainability Sisters. I am Prerna.
And I am Sanchari. Today we are bringing you a skit जहाँ पे I am the experienced sustainability professional in the team, and Prerna will be joining my team. So, Prerna.
Today we are diving into the fascinating world of sustainability and ESG reporting.
Very good. So let's take you through the little bit we have prepared. I'll just take us below here. And let's go, Prerna. What questions do you have?
So, I would like to know a bit of history. How did the sustainability reporting begin? We can start with that.
Absolutely. Prerna, let me introduce you to the timeline of sustainability. Sustainability reporting started from around the 1960s and 70s. This is when the Brundtland Commission came into space and we defined what exactly sustainability means. Tapka definition of sustainability was a lot futuristic, where we define sustainability as something that it's something that if we did not do, would affect our future generations. Today's landscape is changing a bit in that we are expecting climate change's effects to hit us in the next 20 to 30 years. Showing you the timeline of sustainability, we had a lot of reporting guidelines come into place and a lot of investment groups being made up. And we'll go on to talk about these as and when you come to projects on these. Do you have any questions for now?
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey. Next, let's talk about why there are so many sustainability reporting standards and frameworks, and how can we address them in our sustainability reporting.
Definitely. So there's a basic difference between standards and frameworks. The framework is basically the skeleton in which any report has to be built around. It tells you what are the themes that you are going to report around, what are the topics and issues you are focusing, depending upon, say, the sector or the industry you're coming from. The standards then regularize the metrics that are going to be coming into place. So if I'm a manufacturing company, my focus should be on water and waste. Similarly, if I'm a, say, financial institution, then my focus will be on my portfolio emissions. So the kind of metrics we are looking at change with the kind of standards we're using. It's a buffet currently, and will help you align yourselves with everything that is in place.
Yeah. So I can see there are so many reporting standards and frameworks like a buffet, and I like the analogy. So, what's the difference between these reporting standards and frameworks?
Definitely. Examples of standards and frameworks, we've set some of them aside. So, GRI is the first sustainability standard if you're looking at sustainability, because it's a global reporting initiative that puts in all the sector-wise knowledge there. And GRI has its own latest regulations coming up on water and for environment recently. For the IFRS standards, these standards basically help you report in financial requirements for reports and industries. And then the SASB accounting standards board, oh my God, they have done amazing work in sector-wise differentiation of metrics and targets that should be set. There's the SASB industry finder that if you go to and you search for any company, they give you the sector and the subsector involved. And then you go to the guidelines specifically for that subsector. It eases out a lot of work, no?
Uh, that sounds a lot of work. So that's really helpful. And there's a growing trend in sustainability reporting. So, what do the numbers tell us?
The numbers tell an interesting story in that previously, when we were reporting sustainability guidelines, right, we got around 80% responses from the industry from the top 500. But the current response has come up to 90% of top 500 listed entities. Now, that's huge. And with the current scenario of RBI putting in a guideline for climate related financial disclosures from 2025, we are expecting a huge growth in the way the companies are going to start reporting. So, sustainability in general is now being reported by companies through the BRSR, which is the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting Guidelines. So, we'll talk a bit more about that. Do you have any specific questions on it for now?
No, yeah, I think that we are good to go. I have understood that there are very much amount of standards and frameworks. So we can use each of them. We can choose either of them according to our needs and availability. For example, if I'm in a certain sector, I can go to SASB. I can go choose a specific standard and report about it, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I would like to know more about BRSR, how it came into framework, how the people get, helped a lot in framing a BRSR reporting as a whole. So we can dive into that.
Do you remember the VR that came around 5 years ago and people started responding? Those were the business responsibility reporting guidelines. And the whole focus was on CSR back then because companies were into the fact that they anyway have to expend a certain segment of their profits into social projects. So why not show through metrics what is the impact that they have created and show it
Yeah,
quantitatively and qualitatively. So from that,
yes.
regulators got the idea that maybe environmental investing is also opening up enough in India that we start developing metrics for disclosures, right? So then the BRSR came into place. That's the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting Standards. You will find that a lot of companies have started disclosing all of this information within either their annual report or their ESG report or a separate BRSR report or an integrated annual report. These are all the forms of reporting that the IR guidelines, that's the International Reporting Guidelines framework, allows us to report in. So for now, let me show you how BRSR draws from all of these guidelines. And we can take them one by one.
Uh, Before that, I have one question. So, how does these reporting get accumulated, and how do these people started reporting about BRR, and what it generated so much curiosity about in people about ESG and their reporting as well.
Actually, that's a great start, actually. The GRI influenced BRS. Indian government and market regulators were looking for a way as to how India can enter the ESG market with respect to investments and achieving net zero targets, right? We have already committed that we are going to get to net zero by 2070. So then, unless and until companies listed equities started reporting how they are measuring their environmental and social impact, how is it going to come to the public in general? So then the GRI, though, is a sector-wise set of standards and it has a lot of guidelines that you can refer to. We are
Hmm.
not in a position as a country to report stringently. So you'll find some companies reporting in accordance to the GRI, which is they are following each of the requirements and they're disclosing according to it. And then some disclose in reference to the GRI, which means they will refer to the GRI to put in their disclosures, but they will not exactly give the whole disclosure that the GRI requires for it to be in accordance. Basically, that you start disclosing and it's encouraging more disclosures. The BRSR, what it does, it amalgamates all of these guidelines into a sector agnostic skeleton and asks companies in India, at least the top 500 listed entities, to start reporting. Show us what you have. Tell us your plans on how you plan to move about. Tell us what you have done to measure these impacts that you have started creating environmentally and socially. And this gives them a better picture of where they stand in general. Because every sector has peers, right? So when some companies reporting their BRSR, they're asking who else is reporting this amongst our peers and how have they started to approach this problem. So I'll
Hmm.
take you through each of these one by one. Okay.
Got it.
This is one beautiful set of framework that we have created. Reporting standards mostly that come into the BRSR are the ISO, the International Sustainable Organization for Sustainability, the GRI, and the IR. We'll come back to this slide at the end of this discussion where I take you through all of these. So the GRI are the principles based on accuracy, balance, clarity, comparability, reliability, and timeliness. It's supposed to be disclosed annually at the GRI also. It is not a rater or a stand, it's just a standard setter, as in it shows the way. one of the things that BRSR does not currently focus a lot on is materiality, although they do ask companies to report their impacts, risks, and opportunities, which is something very easily measured by materiality. There is this growing scope for double materiality amongst companies, where they start to disclose their impact materiality and their financial materiality, not as two separate items, but as set up, say, a combination of sets where they overlap. It standardizes the disclosures, it has specific performance indicators, and of course, it measures stakeholder inclusiveness.
Nice to know that. So we can go to the next reporting standard or framework we can discuss, which helped in the BRSR reporting.
Definitely. Give me a second. Okay. So from GRI, we'll move on to the next one, which is the ISO. Now, BRSR is drawing from ISO in the way that, say, actually, everybody draws from ISO because it is related to the standards in which it basically manages the quality in what you are measuring when it comes to environment and sustainability factors. And these are internationally provided benchmarks. जैसे कि तुम्हारा हाँ, exactly that
Standard
way.
is certified by that.
So then the ISO certified organizations then get to say, ki, okay, we have a standard setter who is recognizing our efforts. So then the
Okay.
third one that comes in is the integrated reporting framework. Now, integrated reports are really nice in the way you get to look at all the information that a company has to present in one space. As an investor or as a public, say I'm an investor in the market and I want to look at how my company has reported their disclosures, and I am looking for all the information on one page. So when I go to the IAR, I get the financial statements, I get the annual report, ke, all the points. Then the ESG report or the sustainability report could be covered in it, or sustainability material could be integrated within the annual report through the IAR.
I have seen a lot of Japanese companies and the mostly North Asian companies are doing the all the integrated reporting task. So
Definitely.
this has a lot of catch of investors that people are doing.
That is a great point you've brought out because the Asian countries, right, Japan and China, have their own ways of disclosure. And you know how
Yeah,
we used to have a problem while rating companies that their reports are never in English, right? So then they
yeah,
figured that if we are going to report and we are going to report something for the English speaking investing community, then why not just report in their framework, right? It makes things easier.
yeah. So people actually Japanese companies, I have seen a lot of reports of them. So they are reporting in integrated and they have started to disclose in a English format as well
Yeah.
because they have started towards markets and all those stuff is
I think the
happening.
first countries that made this move were the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, because they'll always have an English report ready at hand. But the Korean companies and the Japanese ones, oh my God, take so much effort to find their annual reports in English. And then translating them takes another part of your soul.
And after that, Japanese, Chinese companies are even worse.
But I think I learned a little bit of Chinese, where I started rating Chinese companies at this phone. Same one that you are in at right now. Anyway. So we'll come to the regulators. The who says that this is applicable for you and whether you have to or not. That is the regulator. So SEBI is the regulator for India. That is our Securities and Exchange Board of India. And they have their own set of guidelines. They work in hand with the other regulators. For example, the RBI disclosures that are required for climate change for the next year. SEBI would be the one coming into place and regulating and telling the entities that follow RBI, do what they say.
What they say. I like the line. So I would like to know how SEBI included all these, how SEBI has included all these, how SEBI was a part in including all of these frameworks and reporting guidelines and principles to
Definitely.
make a whole.
SEBI actually reached out to a panel of consultants and industry heads, SMEs, and they formed a board for the BRSR guidelines. And they took
Okay.
consultations from GRI. And I attended this workshop where the guiding founders of GRI were coming in and telling how they have moved from a body who had just structured a set of standards and how people started to come in and adopting all of these standards for their disclosures and their role that they have played in the construction of the BRSR, telling the phases in which the BRSR can be made more less sector agnostic and more sector specific. So we are definitely moving towards that. For example, when we were reporting the BRSR in the previous year, the XBRL format, which basically goes as the data on BRSR that you have disclosed onto the NSE or the BSE, that is the stock exchange. So they record this information in an Excel template format. So the XBRL was less stringent last year. We were surprised to find that this year, even if you have to report, say, a percentage or a rating, not even a rating, a percentage or a ratio, you have to put in the numerator and the denominator. So there's no getting out of disclosures anymore.
Yeah.
This is getting as stringent as possible. And then one thing that we saw was if on a page you have recorded data on top, that is getting reflected below if some other figure is being derived from it. Say I have put in the number of females and there is another question on the ratio of females. So then the ratio will be automatically calculated. I think the next step in XBRL format is going to be that once you data space on one tab, everything else is going to be populated anyway. So the stringency in disclosures increases, but the effort you have to put in disclosing all of these materials is going to reduce if you're doing it the right way. So it's less effort if you make effort right now.
That's so nice to hear. So it's going to be a very challenging thing for companies right now to disclose a lot of metrics and quantifying all the things that they are doing in the company. The things, so it is getting stringent as compared to ITR reporting as well.
Definitely. ITR report. So taxation, I think it has become more progressive taxing now, where the richer you are, although it doesn't take much to be rich in India. Yeah, I think 50K and above, that's 30%. Below it, you have directly the slab of 20%. So I think we'll develop a little bit later on those parts of the budget also. I think we have a short
So,
coming up on this.
we can go towards the next standard of framework we have in place.
Those are the UN SDGs, or they are omnipresent. The UN SDGs are just the right touch of requirement. They don't tell you exactly what to report, but then they tell you what you have to work towards to correspond
Get
with, so to
get those
correspond
goals.
with UN SDGs, what you can look at more are the IRIS Plus metrics. So IRIS Plus has created a system of metrics for every UN SDG and for their subsection. You have probable metrics that countries or companies could disclose. I mean, it's mostly suitable to countries, so it's a little difficult to cater to companies through them, but they are the most stringent UN SDG metric developer. They've been a real guide for the past few months.
Basically a North Star to look up to.
Exactly.
So the CDSP.
Yeah, these are also. So I remember when the CDSB came, okay, halla mach gaya tha full. Ki environmental and climate change related information are now going to mandatorily have to come into corporate reports. Earlier, kya tha before CDSB, you could also disclose online. So, but CDSB mentioned that if your reporting is online on your website, that's fine, but your report needs to come out with a few metrics, with breakdowns, with related disclosures of how you are integrating everything. Stringent information के लिए website तो कम पड़ जाता है. I mean, visualization takes a lot of money and marketing, but annual
Yeah.
reports, integrated reports, great space to develop all of this. CDS
Yeah.
helped in that a lot.
Yeah.
SASB. SASB is our forever favorite because every time I have trouble as to what ESG metrics should be for a particular sector, all I have to do is go to the SASB industry finder, get the sector subsector. Then I put down key if these are my conditions, then what should be the metrics that I should be looking at, disclosing or developing upon. That's a great resource. I think we can
Yeah.
add a link in the bio for this.
So it has 77 of industry.
It's 13 hours.
Right?
Definitely.
That's a lot of industries. And people, if they start looking, they would find their industry as in, if they want to do a specific reporting, if they wish to, then they can go to SASB at any time.
Definitely. It's a great start. That's for sure. The NVGs, National Voluntary Guidelines, and I think, Prerna, you've been reading up on the NDCs as well, right? So those are the nationally determined contributions. So the NDCs are, say, determined contributions, like you're making a commitment towards it. But the NVGs, in context at least, was that we are voluntarily putting up with these responsibilities in our business, and we are going to work on them. So saying I volunteer and saying I'm making a commitment are two different segments. One, NVGs were just the start in 2011. And once our government and regulators were able to get responses on these many people want to report, that is when they started working on it.
Okay, got it. So basically, NVGs, we got the data, how many companies want to report on the voluntary basis.
It was like a voting thing. Voluntarily, I'll come forward. CDP. CDP has been Carbon Disclosure Project initially, but now it's just CDP. And don't ask anybody the full form because they'll be confused. Because it used to be Carbon Disclosure Project. Now we just know CDP. So anyway, it basically this year, the CDP questionnaire has changed a lot. Oh my God. We've had so much work done just to update these questions. Because suddenly CDP wants data from all sectors on forestry and
from water to climate change to deforestation to biodiversity, everything they want.
Everything they want. And of course, some people will say, ki, this is stupid, you know, if I'm a service sector specialist, why should I be bothered about UNGP? Have you heard of them?
No, actually, no.
So UNGP and OECD, actually, the next slide is on OECD. They are the broadest frameworks you will find when it comes to human rights. So businesses should respect human rights, businesses should implement measures for employee well-being. All of these basic human rights that employees or workers, for example, should have been recorded by UNGP and OECD. So
basically, these questions are framed in terms of UNGP's principles, right?
exactly. So principles that we have employed, right, for the BRSR are the NGRBC 9 principles. So these 9 principles form the basis of BRSR. And under every principle, you'll have, say, an essential indicator and a leadership indicator. What they mean to say by these is essential indicators are essential to the firm's operations, but leadership indicators are basically governance-based metrics, which test out whether the company has enough, is either measuring and disclosing or just measuring and plan to disclose kind of module right now.
Got it.
And the OECD and UNGP just allow us to go, these connect BRSR reporting framework to the global propaganda on human rights and employee rights. So yeah, these form a huge basis. So this completes the foundation of BRSR.
Okay, got it. It's nice.
Maybe we can speak on this more on coming sessions.
Yeah.
I hope to see you in and around office with a lot of questions.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a lot of information to delve into, and we can read more on it. We can read all the guidelines and principles that were discussed, and we can say, okay, these are the principles that were taken into account to form a BRSR reporting. And then later on, we can discuss about BRSR reporting as well.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sure. Bye, guys. Have fun.